right, welcome. This is the food sovereignty assignment, this food sovereignty lesson. And so we are going to kind of shift gears a little bit to the idea of global agriculture and global land use, and really kind of focus on the ability of people to access safe, healthy, and affordable food. So we're going to come here. You're going to come here to the week 8 lesson, or to the week 8 assignment, which is this food sovereignty once again. And the first thing you're going to do is you're going to read through these key terms. So all of these terms are words that you're going to be using throughout this lesson. And the first one is food access. So that's the ability of people to get and afford healthy food. So we know that there's enough food in the world to feed everyone, but not everyone has access to the food that is safe, healthy, and affordable. And oftentimes that is because we have neighborhoods, we have regions of this country even that do not have grocery stores in their proximity. And even if they do, we have a high amount of people living in poverty where they're not going to have access to cheap food. So when food security is when all people have and at all times have access to sufficient, safe, nutritious food to maintain a healthy and active lifestyle, and not everyone has that. And so when people do not have food security, that means that they are food insecure. A food desert is about a spatial area, a geographic area that has little or no access to healthy and affordable food, or limited or no access to fresh fruits and vegetables. And we'll be taking a look at food deserts, but we also sometimes use the word food apartheid. Apartheid means the separation of people based on historic laws and forces that keep low income and communities of color without access to food, to safe and food. And when you think about food apartheid, I want you to remember back to our learnings on redlining and the racial covenants that you did a couple weeks ago, and thinking about like Jim Crow of the North and all of the practices in which whites have been given access to homes and to places and access to wealth that many people of color have not had access to. So think about how that then relates to the ability for them to access food. Food sovereignty so sovereignty just means the right to rule yourself. So food sovereignty is a right to have control over healthy and culturally appropriate food, but also to have control over defining your own food and agricultural systems. And then the other term is food justice. So this is the movement to ensure universal access to nutritious, affordable, and culturally appropriate food for all. So there's going to be three parts of this activity. The first one is mapping food insecurity. So you're going to take a look at this first map. When you click on the map, it is going to bring you to USDA, or the U.S. Department of Agriculture website. And you do need to kind of try to understand what you're looking at here. But the areas that are in green are low-income areas with low access. And if you kind of hover over this, if you click on this right here, it says that the green areas are low-income census tracts, so areas that have been identified where there's a large percentage of people who live in poverty, where a significant number or share of residents are at least 1 mile or 10 miles, depending on if they live in the city or not, from the nearest supermarket. So they're saying we have low-income people, but they're also far away from, 1 or 10 miles away from a supermarket. And then you can click on and off and look at different patterns as well. But this is the yellow. If I click on the yellow, let's see if I click off of this and click on the yellow. These are going to be areas where we have low income people and low access. And also people have been identified as having a high percentage of people do not have access to a car. So when we think about, do you have the access to healthy food? We have to think about, do you have the ability to pay for, or do you have, how many people do we have living in poverty? But also, do people have a car? So like wealthier people are going to more likely to have a car. Or do you have access to public transportation? How are you going to get to a grocery store? Even if you had the ability to pay for food, how are you going to get to a grocery store? Are you going to have to walk a mile? And then are you going to have to carry your groceries back? That's probably going to not be super accessible then. But if you have a car and the grocery store is 1 mile away, that's going to change things, right? So then you're also going to click on this map, and you're going to take a look at the supermarket access. And this one is also a little bit tricky, but the key is over here. So you have supermarkets are indicated by these yellow dots. Then you have kind of population, people living in poverty. The red dots represent people living in poverty. This is zooming in on Minneapolis. So we see more red, there's more people living in poverty. And then the supermarkets are all kind of, you can see like around the supermarkets, people, people have in the green areas, those supermarkets are at least a mile walk away, okay, or a 10-minute drive away. So if we zoom out, you'll see in rural areas, places further away from the city, some people don't even have a supermarket within a 10-minute drive. So that is the maps. Then you're going to come back to here, down here, and you're going to describe some patterns you see, and then describe what information geographers use to map food deserts. Please write all of your answers in full sentences. All right, the second part is you're going to open up these articles, and the articles talk about food apartheid. So going back to your definition of food apartheid, these are just food justice articles, you are going to read through these 3 different articles. You may not need to read all of the articles in their entirety. Some of them are longer, some of them are shorter, but you're going to, after you read through them, you're going to answer these questions. The key one here is like why, oftentimes we use the term food desert. Like a desert is the area that doesn't have access to water. A food desert is an area that doesn't have access to food. But how is it different to instead call food deserts food apartheid? And why might that be a more accurate term? So you'll find the answers in those articles. And then down here, you're going to choose one of 2 videos. And so the one of 2 videos is here. And then after you write them, you're going to write in full sentences which video you watched and at least 3 key takeaways from the video. All right, so that is the assignment here. Let me know if you have any questions by coming to office hours or reaching out to me via email.